Apple is seeing the company's chief design officer, Johny Ive, leave the company. Ive, of course, designed many of the company's iconic products since 1996, including the iPhone, iPod, and Mac Air. But he won't be out of the picture completely. He is forming a new design company called Love From, with Apple as its first customer. So guys, when we look at this, obviously a lot of key products are on that list and what Johny Ive has had his hands on. But he's still going to be working with the company. This is a big loss, though, for the company to see him leave the doors.
It's a huge loss, and analysts are saying this is the largest loss for Apple since Steve Jobs, and they're saying that his ethos was really just an extension of Jobs and what he brought to the table since Apple's inception. But I think it is interesting to note here, though, that of 42 analysts that Bloomberg tracks, none of them lowered their price targets, none of them cut their ratings on the stock. And really, you think about this as coming at a kind of an interesting time for Apple, where they're pivoting away from their hardware, from some of the actual physical products they're making, and pivoting to service. So maybe it isn't such a bad time, if there was a good time at all, to have someone so instrumental to leave the company.
Definitely, and I think they got a little bit of a push from the Huawei deal. From Huawei getting banned, I think you saw, there's a lot more folks that'll probably go in and buy more iPhones. I mean, I think that ban actually came at the perfect time for them to make that announcement, and particularly from the stock side. I think that's what really stabilized it.
Yeah, but I'm kind of surprised that we're not seeing a bigger move in Apple shares just off of this news. I mean, you mentioned that the analysts themselves didn't want to take such a huge stance on his departure, but nonetheless, I mean, this is a guy who's been around for 20 years and had his hands on so many key products being developed. I just feel like that would have a greater impact when we're talking about this. And I understand they're moving away from hardware, and that's been very clear for quite some time. But still, I mean, you think about, as you touched on, the ethos of a company. Ive's the guy, Yeah,
but I just think at the same time, people will be able to step up to the plate. We saw that after Steve Jobs passing. So I think Apple has already proven its ability to evolve with the times, to evolve as different members of its personnel, different members of its executive team have moved on. So I think that history of being able to do that is what is keeping analysts bullish now, too.
Yeah, and I'm sure he has a protege. I'm sure he has a couple folks that he's kept so close to him over the last couple of decades that they'll be okay. I mean, at the end of the day, it is Apple. The cash on their balance sheet could buy most countries. So
that's a good point. It's a very fair point, and plus, you're right. A company like Apple's never really caught too much off guard with a departure like that. Anyways, he was also, we mentioned all the good things he's touched. He was also connected to some products that flopped as well. You might remember the Circle Hockey Puck mouse that they sold with the iMacs. That one never worked out so well. So hits and misses.